We here at Kink Candid are pleased to tell you a little bit more about Anchor. Anchor is our new podcast hosting software. We are in love with it. Anchor is the easiest way I have found to make a podcast. It'll give everything you need in one place, all for free, which is awesome. And you can use it from your phone or your computer. Their creation tools helped us record our first little blurb episode and edit so that it sounds great. Got music and everything else you can add to it. It's fantastic. They will handle the distribution of your podcast for you, so you can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple, Google, and much, much more that I don't even know about yet. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. You just have to do some ads just like this. So if you're interested in getting your podcast going with Anchor, go download the Anchor app on your iPhone or Android phone, or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to this week's episode of Kink Candid. Shay here with my ever awesome co-host. And we have a couple of topics to talk about tonight. So we're going to dive right into it and go from there. The first one has come up a couple of times recently on social media. I've been seeing it come up quite a bit lately, and it resonated deeply with me. And it's something that I thought we'd want to touch on here on the show a little bit, because it's a topic that I'm not sure where this came from, but it's become quite a common misconception, I think, about these types of relationships. And that is the concept of whether or not what we do here is incompatible with a loving relationship. And that has come up several times recently, so I kind of wanted to touch on it because I don't know where this came from, but it's new, and I'm not sure I like it, to be honest with you.
I can tell you right off, I don't like it at all. Because to indicate or to intimate that because my wife and I are in a BDSM relationship, a dominant and submissive dynamic, means that I don't love her. That's insulting to me and everybody else in the lifestyle that I know.
And it came up, and it usually comes up in the context of newbies, so to speak. And we love our newbies here at Kink Candid. Let's put that out there. I am always happy to see new people joining and getting into what we do, and that's fantastic. But they have a lot of questions, as is natural. And one that seems to come up a lot is the I'm reading online, or I've been told, or people are telling me that doms don't really love their subs. And I'm worried because I really want to do this, but I want a loving, committed relationship. And is that true? And, or the other popular one seems to be, I really, really like this guy, and I think it could turn into something, but he's a bit of a sadist, which is common because a lot of us, not all submissives are masochists, but many of us are, or at least have a masochistic streak, shall we say. And
yes.
So we tend to attract sadists for obvious reasons. And I like the guy, and I want to be in a relationship with him, and I think it could really go somewhere, but I want a loving relationship, and is he even capable of loving me because he's a sadist? And I'm going, I'm not really sure where this came from, but no.
I wish it would go back there. Wherever it came from, I wish it would go back there.
I really do. I tend to agree. I don't know where this idea has come from, but it seems to be, I watch, as we talked about previously on the show, I watch a lot of the social media stuff because it kind of gives me a finger on the pulse of what's coming up a lot. And this question has come up a lot more of late.
You have to watch it because I can't. So, yeah.
Well, exactly. That's sort of one of the rules I feel here at Kink Candid. But so I see the questions that are getting asked frequently. And so I kind of pay attention to this. And I, as we've talked about in our last PSA, so to speak, I am more able to sort of engage in that activity. So I keep a finger on the pulse in that way, and then I bounce ideas off of my master and Jay here, and we kind of figure out what we want to touch on the show. And this one's come up a lot here recently in this topic, and I don't really know why. And it is, as you say, it's insulting. That's my husband. Okay, so is it true that doms don't really love their subs? And my only response invariably when this gets asked is to go, well, considering we're married, I would certainly hope he loves me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. And it goes hand in hand with the other question of, is it normal for me as a sub to develop romantic feelings for my dominant? And I quite literally told someone earlier today, I don't know where the idea that that's not normal came from, to be honest with you, but yes, it is absolutely normal for that to happen.
Please do.
I don't understand how people think, and I think it speaks to the common misconception that we, as kinky people, as doms, as subs, as master slaves, what have you, is that what we do is sort of independent of our romantic relationships, which I don't know when that became the prevailing thought process. It also speaks to the idea that we aren't bonded in that way. And again, I'm not sure when that became the prevailing thought process, but it has always been my experience. And as we've spoken about on this show a number of times, Munchkin and Jay and myself, collectively, we have a ridiculous number of years of experience doing this. I think Munchkin and I collectively have like 40 years of experience or something. It's some ridiculous amount. And in all of my years doing this, I don't think I've ever seen a couple long term. And I'm not talking we're friends and occasionally if we're at the same party, we might do a scene kind of thing. I'm talking actual, this is my dominant, my submissive kind of relationship.
Yeah, nor are we talking about the, I think the prevailing term is friends with benefits who get together for a weekend and occasionally break out the whips and the blindfolds and the handcuffs. That's not.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
I don't, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I don't know where this came from, but I really wish it would go back. I can speak from my perspective. I was in love with my wife long before she introduced me to the lifestyle. And yes, she introduced me to the lifestyle. She was the one who saw something in me and went, you know what, you might actually enjoy this over here. And I started hanging out in places that, well, to be quite honest, my mom didn't warn me about because my mom didn't know they existed.
Fun fact, that's how it worked at my house too, actually. I am the more experienced partner in that way, and he had, much like you say, I saw something in him. He had sort of naturally dominant aura, so to speak, and natural tendencies in that way, but it isn't something that he had ever really defined or experimented with until I came along. And so it's something we sort of explored together, but love came first, not the other way around. And I said this before on the show, and I will say it again. I will never stop saying it, and I understand that it is not the most popular opinion out there right now, but I don't really care, to be honest with you. I could not do about 3/4 of what we do here if I didn't love him, and I didn't know that he loved me. That is a huge part of our dynamic. You
got an edge on me because I don't think I could do any of it if I didn't know that there was love behind it.
Well, I think I could do the domestic stuff. I could cook dinner and all that, which I consider kind of part of it. So, and I could do all of that without that. I would be a lot less motivated, I'll say that, but I could.
Well, yeah, but and you could, and I'll acknowledge that. But from my point of view, I'm not allowed in the kitchen, so
right. True.
the blind individual, regardless of what gender you choose to assign to me, is not allowed around sharp things or things that catch on fire.
For the safety of all involved parties, really.
Indeed.
For the safety of everyone involved. It's probably for the best. But, what we do in the bedroom, so to speak, I could not do without the love and trust that exists between the two of us. It factors in a huge amount. It matters. And
it has to.
This idea that I object to the idea strenuously that it can be done without those feelings. That's the first thing that I object to. And I am told that other people can. I will respect that their lived experience tells them that is possible. I am not at all confident, at least for me, it would not be possible. I will say that.
No.
But I object even more strenuously to the idea, especially when it is communicated to the newbies among us, that is the norm, that is what they should expect.
And more than what they should expect, but that's what they should strive for. No.
That is normal and desirable in some way has immensely bothered me for some time now. I don't quite understand how someone can decide that not only is that okay and possible, though, like I said, I have my doubts, but that's normal. We're currently someone, or someones rather, I should say, are out there communicating to new people coming into this lifestyle, particularly new submissives, that they should expect that their dominants do not have feelings for them, that they don't love them, that they don't care about them in that way. And I brought this up to my husband, my master, on this topic, and he brought up a point that I kind of had in the back of my brain, but hadn't ever really been able to articulate quite as well as he did. And that is to say, and I want your perspective on this too, as the dominant on the show, that he feels that not only is that unrealistic to expect that you're going to have this bond, this connection, this dynamic without those feelings, but that it is potentially that much more dangerous because part of what makes what we do at my house safe is the fact that he genuinely cares about my well-being.
I was waiting for the opportunity to speak on exactly that point. And so thank you for bringing it up. Someone who doesn't love you, someone who doesn't care for you, doesn't have your safety first and foremost in their mind. They're not in it for the experience. They're in it to get off. And while that is a desirable part of any encounter in this thing that we do, it shouldn't be for anyone the first and foremost part in their mind. When you're with somebody and there is bondage involved, there are whips involved, there are potentially dangerous tools and practices involved, if your safety is not first in their mind, please advance to the rear and seek out other opportunities.
I've spoken openly on the show a couple of times now about the fact that we engage in electrical play at my house, and it is a favorite activity at my house, actually. And I know that it is one that you guys at your house don't engage in for safety reasons, but at our house it is something that it is safe for us, and so we enjoy it immensely.
Right. And we've had that conversation a couple of times.
But it has risks. Obviously there are risks in that kind of play, and I enjoy it immensely. But part of the reason I'm able to enjoy it immensely is because at every point in this process, we are collectively each focused on the other one's needs. And not just their needs for pleasure, although that is a huge part of what we do, obviously. And so, I want to make him feel good and he wants to make me feel good. And that's something that we both, sort of focus on. But, neither of us wants to push past the other one's limits. Neither one of us wants to put the other one in danger. And so that makes it possible for me to enjoy things that I wouldn't be able to enjoy if we didn't have that romantic relationship. So, it occurs to me that I don't just think it's possible for doms to love their submissives. I think it is not only possible, but normal, and in fact, important
necessary.
That they have those feelings for you. It's necessary. I know it is unpopular, and the prevailing theory of the day seems to be that it's just sex, and therefore divorcing it from feelings is not only normal, but desirable and a good thing, and I strenuously disagree.
You aren't the only one, sweetheart.
If we were just talking about sex, if that was literally all we were talking about, I still wouldn't want it for myself because that's not who I am as a person. I am not a casual sex kind of girl. Part of that is my religious beliefs. Part of that is just my own personal moral code. But that is very individual, and I recognize that. And if all we were talking about was sex, then my position would always be, if you can have sex with no feelings, then by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
And as long as you're open and honest with the other person that that's what it is, then by all means, as we say at my house a lot, do you, boo-boo. Do you. We're very fond of that phrase around here. But we're not just talking about sex. And we were talking about, we were talking about an incredible connection, an incredible bond, and things that go way beyond this feels good. And so I want to just point blank say to any newbie submissives and dominants, for the record, that are listening to the show, to all of our newbies, that yes, it's normal for you to have feelings for your dominant or your submissive partner. That is totally normal. Absolutely, yes, dominants can and generally, in my experience, do have feelings and love for their submissive partners. I don't know where this idea that doms don't have feelings came from, but I want to dispel that myth right here and right now. They do have feelings, and those feelings often are romantic in nature and loving, especially toward their partners. Yeah. And that is desirable. That's a good thing. So whoever is out there telling these newbies in the lifestyle that their dominants don't love their submissives or can't love their submissives, please stop. Wait, for real, please stop.
Or at the very least, find a different venue in which to do so.
Yeah. Please stop communicating this, particularly to the newbies, because it's not fair. And it's scaring off new submissives who are like, I don't know if I want to do this. It sounds really fun. It's something I really want to explore, but I want a committed, loving relationship. And I'm going, yeah, you can absolutely have both. I promise. Really.
You certainly can.
I swear you can have both. I would like to also dispel this myth while we're talking on this subject about sadism and love. Sadist doesn't necessarily mean sociopath.
No, it very rarely means sociopath, actually, considering that sociopaths are a very small percentage of the general population. Thank God.
If the person you are talking to or about is literally incapable of loving another person, that is a sociopath, and you should probably advance to the rear very quickly, because that is not something you want to play with, particularly in this lifestyle.
No.
Especially here, because empathy is very, very, very important to what we do. But we seem to have this idea that's caught out there somewhere that dominants are emotionless sociopaths, and I'm not really sure where that came from, but I would like it to please go away.
Yeah. Wherever it came from, I wish it would go back there.
I promise, absolutely promise. I know my co-host here. I know Jay very well. Obviously, we've talked about that on the show. We've been together a very long time. I know him very well.
And we'll continue to do so.
I know the man I am married to, the man who holds my collar, very, very well, as I would hope that anyone who's married and collared would, in fact, know their dominant. And I can assure you, from personal experience, that neither of them are emotionless nor sociopaths. Like, at all. Like, this is just not a thing. I don't... And... Many, again, most of all submissives are not necessarily masochists, though it is quite common. The same is true for dominance and sadism. Not all doms are sadists. The two cross over quite a bit, but it's not a guarantee. Just because someone is dominant doesn't make them a sadist. In fact, quite the opposite in many cases I'm discovering.
Yes.
This is something you may be able to speak on. If you, as a submissive, I speak here directly to the submissives among us, if you are a masochist and therefore enjoy certain types of play, impact play, some of the electro play, things of that nature that are going to speak to that need in yourself, your dominant may engage in those behaviors without necessarily being a sadist. By definition, a sadist enjoys the actual causing of pain, whereas some dominants may cause pain in the activities they engage in, but they're doing it not out of a desire to cause pain, but as much out of a desire to, A, give the submissive what they are looking for, and, or B, we frequently refer to mine as a bit of a, we're taking to calling it a sensationist a little bit. Reactionist. It's not the causing pain that he enjoys, it's the reaction that it gets. And that's an entirely different thing. It's still causing pain, yes, but not, I want to hurt you as much as look what I can get you to do.
Right.
And
for me, I enjoy the sensation of biting, of scratching, of being bitten. But it's not the pain. It's, as you said, it's the reaction that comes from my partner in the sharing of that experience. The pain is secondary, and often it's not an unfortunate consequence, maybe, but not an always welcome consequence of the play that we engage in.
Right, and I think that sort of speaks to, what I see here as well. It's more, I like the reactions, I like the sensations, I like the control, I like, those sorts of things. And he enjoys having that control. The reaction that exists, the movement, the sounds, those sorts of things, and that's, if the activity in question causes pain in pursuit of that reaction, then that is sort of a side effect, so to speak, rather than the ultimate goal. If the same reaction could be obtained in some other activity, then, so be it. It's not about the pain, it's about the activity. But So all of that to say that just because you engage in impact play or other types of sensation play that may in fact cause pain, it does not necessarily mean that your dominant partner isn't a sadist.
No.
Above and beyond that, even the doms that are in fact sadists, and I've known a few over the years, that were legitimate sadists. They enjoyed causing those feelings. They enjoyed the act. That does not make them any less emotionally healthy than those of us who are masochists, so to speak. And it certainly doesn't make them sociopaths.
No.
Just because they enjoy causing pain doesn't mean that they're not capable of love. So, again, I don't know where this idea came from, but please stop communicating it, especially to the newbies. You're giving them the idea that, oh, you like pain, he gives you the pain that you enjoy, therefore he's a sadist, therefore he can't have loving feelings for you. And there is a huge leap of logic that happened there, and it's not fair to the dominant in question. It's not fair to the submissives either, to give them this idea going in. And please don't tell these
it's not true, it's not fair, and it's not safe.
No, it's very dangerous, and I think it's breeding a certain level of fear in newbie submissives, and it's breeding a certain amount of lack of self-esteem, so to speak, in these newer dominants, because they're quite literally being told that there's something wrong with them. They're not capable of feeling love for their submissives, and that's an incredibly damaging thing to tell someone. And so let's just be very all on the same page that, yes, doms can love their subs. Yes, sadists can love their masochistic partners, and let's not tell the newbies that that's not the case.
No, please.
Speaking of newbies, we have an additional topic that I did not originally plan for this week's episode, but it presented itself this afternoon and caused me to bring it up and go, okay, we need to touch on this on the show. I encountered a newbie online today who is a new submissive, just sort of beginning this journey, which, again, I reiterate, is very exciting to those of us who've been doing it for a while. Like, yay! Look at you starting out. It's very exciting. And they are what's the word I want? For lack of a better term, just a strictly obedient, service-oriented kind of submissive.
Right.
If they trust someone enough to actually be submissive to them, then they're going to be obedient and generally do what is asked.
Right.
And this I resonate with because that's sort of how I work.
Yes.
But this poor person has been told by a so-called friend of theirs, who is, I guess, at least ostensibly a dominant, that this tendency would make it harder for them to find a dominant partner because this is, and I quote, boring behavior, and that dominance and submission are worth less when they are given, quote, on a silver platter.
Stop that. Stop that right now.
And they have this poor person so upset that they believe that they have to clarify, well, I don't know that I would say that I'm spineless. Okay, so first things first, let's dispel the myth that obedient equals spineless. This man right here knows me well. As we've talked about, very good friends. We've known each other a long time. I'm short C, and if I were to have him on the show, my master would both assure anyone who's listening that spineless is never a word that has been used to describe me. Ever.
Only by those who didn't know you.
Anyone who knows me will tell you that I am not at all spineless.
No.
And in fact, mine, who knows me better than pretty much anybody in this world, with the possible exception of my children, and all that is only because they have heard my heartbeat from the inside, he quite literally, when presented with this concept, because I was reading it to him and going, what? And he says to me that not only is my submission not worth less because I am obedient and not a brat who made him fight me for it, but that it was worth even more to him because, and this I'm sure you will recognize because I know your wife, and this is true of her too, that our submission may in fact be worth more to our respective dominant partners because we are giving it freely, because we are strong, intelligent women who are more than capable of taking care of ourselves. I do not submit to him because I have to. I submit to him because he is worth it.
Yes.
And I know your wife well enough to know that that's true of her too. She's more than capable of standing on her own 2 feet. And she submits to you because she saw something in you.
I won't dare to speak for every dominant out there, but I will say this. If I had to fight every day to make sure that the things that I needed done were getting done, if I had to fight every day to make sure that the commands that I give were being followed, I don't have that kind of energy left anymore. I'd very quickly be seeking other arrangements because that would no longer be that it wouldn't feel good anymore to me. So I'm glad that that's not a part of our dynamic.
And it was interesting. He made the reference to me just today that he viewed it, and you'll love this one. I think you'll get a kick out of this. And you may want to share it with her because I think she may get a kick out of it too. He said to me that he viewed it much like a night. That a night could go off rogue, night errant, so to speak, mercenary type night, and wander about and do various things in various kingdoms for various monarchs on their own. But that same night was perfectly capable of encountering the king and saying, you know what? I respect this one. I'm going to pledge my service to this one. Not because they chased me down, not because they locked me in a dungeon until I said yes, but because I recognize the good qualities in them, their leadership, their value as a leader. And as such, this is a choice that I am making of my own free will. And that was the comparison, the analogy that was sort of drawn for me. And I was like, that's great, I'm a knight.
I like that. I like that very much.
And so, I've said before that I will freely admit that I don't fully understand the brat and brat tamer dynamic. I will be honest with you, I really don't. It is not a dynamic I choose to engage in. It's not one that I enjoy. It's not one that my master enjoys. It's not something that we do. And that's okay. And I understand that other people out there, apparently this is enjoyable to them. And that is also okay. Everyone has their quirks and their kinks, and you do you, boo-boo. And so I don't object to that. And I don't generally dog on the brat, generally speaking, because as long as you are with a dominant who enjoys that, then by all means, have fun. Go be as bratty as you and your partner enjoy. It doesn't work for me, but if it works for you, then by all means do it. What I object to is this characterization that this person is apparently, I guess, a bit of a brat tamer, I guess, because they said, this made the submission worth more because they had to, I guess, work for it or something. But it wasn't enough to say that this is a way to work this dynamic. No. They had to take it a step further and tell this poor newbie submissive who is trying to find their place in this lifestyle that not only is the brat and tamer dynamic a valid one, but that it is a better one. That an obedient submissive is boring. and spineless and worth less to a dominant.
Please stop that right now.
And I sputtered at my screen for about a full minute, I swear, because I was trying to collect my thoughts enough to even.
And soon after, you got up and got a rag and cleaned it off, because I know you.
True, I did. But I sort of sputtered at it for like a full minute because I could not wrap my head around the thought. And this person was not coming in and saying, oh, obviously this is truth. It was quite literally a source of pain to them.
Yeah.
They felt less because of it, and wanted to come in and ask the community as a whole whether it was true, whether most DOMs felt that way. And firstly, let's dispel the myth that there was any kind of Borg hive mind in kink. There is no hive mind. We are not Borg.
Thank you.
We are individuals, I promise. So I can't really speak for how
resistance is not necessarily futile.
Not necessarily.
We will not assimilate you.
No, I promise we really won't. If you ask me about what we do here, and if you're listening to the show, obviously you have asked. That's why you're listening. We'll be happy to tell you how we do it. But you'll note that every time we talk on the show, this is always in the context of this is how it works here. This is how we do things.
And if we haven't made it clear before, let me reiterate that how it works in my house is not how it works in Shay's house.
Nope.
How it works in Shay's house is nowhere near how it works in my house.
Nope, two different houses.
We could not trade places. We would go insane.
Yeah, no, it really would not work. And Melissa and I talked openly about that on the show as well, that how it works at my house and how it works at her house are two very different things. And that while she respects my husband and I respect her husband would make a terrible dominant for me, and vice versa, honestly. Our styles are just too different. What she needs from her husband is one thing, and what I need from mine is an entirely different one. What he's looking for from me is very different from what Munchkin's husband is looking for from her, which is all both really different from what you and your wife are looking for from each other.
Yes.
I don't think there is.
And thank God.
There's not really a way to say most DOMs or most subs feel any specific way. We're not, in fact, a hive mind. We are not the Borg. And so I can't speak for anybody but myself. I can tell you that I object strenuously to the characterization of my style of submitting to my dominant as weak or spineless or boring. For the love of Pete, really?
None of these are true. I will say it again. None of these are true.
And yes, I suppose my style would be boring to someone who's looking for a brat. That's fair. But it's not an objective statement of fact. It is merely mismatch. Just as a brat submissive would exhaust and frustrate the living daylights out of my husband. Like, absolutely would drive him crazy.
She speaks from experience, trust me.
He would not enjoy that even a little. And so, but that doesn't mean that most don't feel the way that he does. It just means that's how he feels, and he's not looking for that. That's not fun for him. That's not pleasant or enjoyable or pleasing in any way. And
no.
So, while we're on that, the other one that came up is the Borg hive mind mentality seems to be persisting a lot. All DOMs should do X for all submissive. Please do not ever say this.
No, or anything of the kind. Or the reverse.
Or vice versa.
Not all submissives should do no. Just no.
again, I reiterate, not a Borg, not a hive mind.
No. And those of you who would like us to be a Borg or a hive mind, as much as we value your opinions and your frame of mind, we do wish you would go express them elsewhere.
It's not going to happen. This is not how things work. We don't do that. And we here at Kink Candid do not advocate for such a thing. There is no all submissive need. There is no all dominance want.
No.
It's not a thing. And I think that's the overarching theme of this episode is that there is no all doms or all subs.
No.
Do some doms not have romantic feelings for their submissives? I suppose that's probably true. But that's one subset. Do all submissives have romantic feelings toward their dominants? No, I suppose that's probably not true either. But again, that is a subset. Do all doms want a purely service-oriented, obedient submissive, or do all doms want a brat? Well, neither of those can possibly be true. It just isn't, and it's a huge thing that I keep coming kind of back to in these episodes is that there are very, very, very few instances where there is a right way and a wrong way to do what it is we do. As long as all involved parties are consenting to the activity in question and all involved parties are able to consent and do consent to the activity in question, most other things, the vast, vast majority of them are not right or wrong I'm going to
stop you here. I'm going to stop you here, and I'm going to state that, and you're free to disagree with me. We've done that before, but I'm going to state that if you are putting yourself or your partner in danger, then you're doing it wrong. If you or your partner do not consent, you are doing it wrong. Otherwise, to paraphrase my co-host here, you do you.
We are, as we talked about, a RAC versus SSC household here. So that is the reason I didn't specifically state not in danger, because I am not an SSC proponent. I am a RAC proponent at my house, in that I don't fully believe that anything that we do is 100% safe and 100% without danger, without risk.
That's fair.
We just decide that we make ourselves aware of the risks and do our best to mitigate them. And so that's sort of the philosophy that we ascribe to here. Because, I mean, I don't think anyone could argue that setting your partner on fire, for example, is inherently safe or sane. That is
That's fair.
That we have done. So, but as long as you have done your best, I think, to mitigate the risks, and everyone involved is able to and has freely consented to the activity in question, then go for it.
Yeah.
If you are being irresponsible about the risks, or anyone involved has not freely consented, then you are doing it wrong. Anything else is a matter of preference, in my opinion. If you questions online, I see these things, they relate to, is it okay for my dominant to do X? Well, I don't really have an answer for that, because the question can never be, is it okay for them to do this? Have you done your best to mitigate the risks? Yes. Do you consent to them doing X? If no, then no, it is not okay for them to do it. If yes, then go for it. Have fun.
Yeah.
I don't believe in a right way or wrong way to do it, provided everyone is freely aware and consenting to the activity in question.
If either of us did, this would be an entirely different show.
It really would. Like I said, I don't really think there is a right way or a wrong way to do it. I will say this: there is one other thing that I would argue is wrong in the lifestyle, and this is going to be an interesting point because it speaks to the other really, really big misconception about the 24/7 couples like we are. If you are not respecting your partner, then you are doing it wrong.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
He respects me, I respect him. And the minute that stops being true, then we are doing it wrong.
Yes, agreed.
But outside of those things, do what you want. There is no hive mind. There's no right way, wrong way. Have fun.
Yeah.
Do your best to stay safe. Do what you enjoy. I do think it's, and I think that's really the core issue that we're seeing with these questions that are coming up a lot is that the people are out there saying this is the right way to do it. And that just isn't okay.
There is no one true way.
No such thing. I promise. I've been looking for a long time, and there just isn't one.
There is no hive mind. There is no holy book.
And your true way for yourself and your partner may in fact change over the years. I'll point that out there too.
And we've done that before. Likely will change.
Ours has definitely changed. I mean, our dynamic is not the same as it was. My dynamic with him is not the same as it was in past relationships, and it's not even the same dynamic as it was when we first got together.
No.
Life happens. So, no, your dom can love you, and probably should, in my opinion. Yes, your sadist can love you, too. They're not sociopaths, I promise. You're not boring or spineless or worth less because you're obedient and not a brat. And there is no hive mind. That's what I want these, especially the newbies, to take away from this. There is no right way, there is no wrong way, and you are not less because you do it differently than someone else. And please do not sell yourself short and think that you're dominant and they'll never have feelings for you, because that's just not true. I think on that note, unless you have anything else you want to chime in on, I'm probably going to cut us off here, and we'll kind of touch on what we want to touch on next week and go from there.
I'm going to end it the same way I end them all. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.
Enjoy.